Hi and welcome to the We Need Roads podcast, and welcome to the Cafe 80s, where it's always morning in America, even in the afternoon. Now, which Back to the Future film was that, David?
It's a morning in America. Whoa. Sorry, the Cafe 80s one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
it was
from Back to 2. That was number 2.
Yep, very well done. So, it's been a little while. How are you, David? You weren't with me on the last podcast because you had been put in bad joke jail.
Oh, a bad joke jail? What did I do to get in there?
You tried your attempts at jokes on every one of these podcasts so far.
My jokes are amazing, and you know it.
Right, so what's your joke for today then?
I don't have one. I'm retiring them. They're retired. I'm getting too old, Neil. I've gone grey. I've got grey hair. I had a beautiful black mane before starting this podcast, and now I'm grey. I'm not aging gracefully, Neil, and it's because of the podcast.
Really? You're blaming the pressure of the podcast?
I've retired, yeah. So I'm going to have to retire something. And I think it's the gone.
It's too much pressure Googling a dad joke.
It is. Well, you know what? You've got then you're scouring it for ages trying to... I'm not that funny. I can't think of these things on my own. I've got to look at... Google's my friend here, and it's not... But it hasn't been...
David.
Sorry.
I've been saying this since the first episode.
I'll bring them back every now and then, just to keep it spicy.
But getting on with today's pod, as there's been an absolute metric shit ton of films coming out in the most recent month or so, we are going to do a spoiler special on another person who's retiring from stuff. Yep, it's Daniel Craig's last ever outing as James Bond in No Time to Die.
There's just no time to die.
Jesus. Yes, we're starting with Bond and No Time to Die. So, much delayed and, well, still slightly anticipated, this was the film that was supposed to save cinema last year, but decided to wait a year and a half and then some. It's Daniel Craig's fifth and final outing as James Bond in Cary Jojo Fukunawa's No Time to Die. Now, this is the concluding chapter of Craig's time as Bond, and with all the plot points from the other four films revisited and tied up nicely pretty much by the end of the film. Going ahead, there will be heavy spoilers for all the films we're going to be talking about on this podcast today. So, spoiler warning.
Give me an S. Give me a P. This is taking too long. Spoilers ahead.
Now, David, this was not the film to save cinema because it was just a little bit too long for any film, let alone a Bond film. Having said that, though, I wasn't actually never bored in it. I haven't actually heard your opinion on it at all yet because you only just saw it like a couple of days ago, right? So, hit me. What did you think?
I saw it exactly, I think, a week ago today. No, I enjoyed it. So going into this film, I watched every single Daniel Craig Bond film leading up to it. So I watched Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and then I went to the cinema to watch No Time to Die. And I think this film fits perfectly in the middle of all of them. If I'm completely honest. If I was to do a ranking of all of the films, I think it would go Skyfall number 1, Casino Royale number 2, No Time to Die number 3, Quantum of Solace number 4, and Spectre number 5. And that might divide some people putting Quantum of Solace above Spectre, but I fucking hated Spectre. I know I enjoyed it as it was really enjoyable. There was a lot of things that I didn't like about it, which we can go into a little bit later. But overall, I was overwhelmingly positive with it. I did, like you said, it was a bit long, and I did find myself looking at not looking at my watch, more
looking at your phone. You did
not looking at my phone. No. I didn't. I promise. I hate people that get their phones out, like even just to check the time, because it irritates you and it takes you out of the moment. But what I did do was I was trying to find, like, whilst I was watching it, I was just like, you know what? This moment in the trailer hasn't come up yet. You know, I sort of was thinking that in the back of my head, so I was just like, fucking hell, how much longer have we got to go? If, like, there's like whole moments in the trailer that haven't been shown yet. It did drag, but, I enjoyed it. A solid, in the middle of the road, Daniel Craig film.
6 or 7 Davids out of 10?
I'm going to give it a 007 out of 10.
That's quite bad, because if it's 007, that's on the scale of 100.
Yeah, but I wanted to throw that in there. You know what I mean?
I did, and it was terrible. But do you know, I actually agree with you on your ranking of the Craig films. I absolutely agree with you on that. I think that's exactly the order they are in. Yeah, definitely.
Would you put Spectre bottom as well?
Yeah. I can't remember anything about it at all.
Yeah, it was very wholly unremarkable. No, Skyfall was like Skyfall's
Yeah.
hands down the best fucking one.
Skyfall just. I think
It's-
because it tapped into his backstory a lot more, didn't it? And his the whole going to Scotland stuff. It worked for me. It
You'd
worked.
struggle to find something about Skyfall that isn't enjoyable, as opposed to Spectre, for instance, where you'll struggle to find something that is enjoyable.
Struggle to
with
remember anything about it whatsoever.
Yeah,
Spectre,
and-
that's the one that had Blofeld in it, right?
Yeah.
When they
Christopher
weren't calling him,
Blofeld,
but
which-
they weren't calling him Blofeld.
Yeah, like it's a big reveal that it's called Blofeld, even though the film was called Spectre. And anybody that knows anything about James Bond knows that Blofeld is head of Spectre.
Well, I think one of the issues with the film is, and it's the direction. So Cary Jojo Fukunaga, he does do well, but he's not. He would never be a million years the filmmaker I'd think to go to make Bond, because he really just doesn't have that big a filmography behind him. He's definitely got a weird mix of projects and roles beforehand. One of his first films was called Sin Nombre. Then he did Jane Eyre, the period piece, as director. But then he really made his name directing all 8 episodes of True Detective Season 1. He was then the creator, writer and director of the frankly bizarre Netflix show Maniac with Emma Stone and Jonah Hill that I can literally not remember anything about despite having watched all of it. And then he did Beasts of No Nation, which again did very well critically, but obviously wasn't a big film. So never in any of these projects would you have him pegged as a Bond director.
Yeah, well, they had a lot of problems, didn't they? Trying to replace
Danny Boyle.
Sam Mendes, wasn't it?
Was it Sam Mendes first? Oh, but Sam Mendes had done the previous one, hadn't he?
Yeah. Trying to replace him because he said he wasn't going to come back after Spectre, which he did Skyfall and Spectre, I believe. And
Okay.
how can you do one that's so good and then one that's so bad directly afterwards?
Well, at least he stopped at 2 and realised.
There must have been some sort of reason behind that, like something to do with the script. Because actually, the direction of Spectre isn't bad; it's the script.
I think with Bond, it's kind of like a Marvel thing. You always, as a director, you're not having got that much creative freedom. You're at the whim of the studio, and the power of the producers of Broccolis on Bond is massive, which is bizarre to me because it's just one film franchise, and yet they wield this massive power over every aspect of it.
It is quite insane, actually. What Bond has over everything else in cinema.
But I mean, of course, as you mentioned, I think the issue, like I said, the problem with direction is Danny Boyle was down to do it, and then he walked. He was like, "Oh, well, I don't know how far into it he was. I think it was pre-production, but he was disagreeing with him, and he went." And
he
a
had
Danny
a script,
Boyle Bond
didn't
film. A Danny Boyle Bond film would have been very, very different. And of course, mentioned script issues. To write the female characters correctly, if you believe what you read, and frankly, I don't really. They brought in Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and did she really make a difference to the script that much? I mean, to me, it almost felt like it was stunt casting on the writer's side, so they could negate any negative comments about representation of women in the film. There's like, well, you can't say anything bad about the women in the film because that was written by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and I don't really think it made a difference to the film at all having her connected to it.
Yeah. Actually, thinking about it, I don't think I've seen a single thing that... no, how'd you say his name?
Cary Joji Fukunaga.
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 Yeah. I
We apologise.
want to just call him Cary.
Cary, okay.
I don't think I'd seen a single other thing that he directed, aside from...
True Detective?
True Detective, yeah. So, going into it, he didn't do a bad job. He did. I think he did a good job of directing No Time to Die. I think it's well. I think the whole thing is well done.
Very well made. I got no issues with the production.
Yes,
on it.
sorry, go on. One of the problems that I had with it, which is again, it's another sort of script problem. But what I wanted from it, actually, you know what? Thinking about it now, it actually could have been one of the things that I disliked. That it had trouble with dealing with because so I wanted it to almost rectify the problems that Spectre had,
Right.
And instead it did completely the opposite and made Spectre even more irrelevant because they basically kill off all of Spectre in one of the scenes.
Near the start, yeah.
Yeah, and they just sort of kill off all of Spectre, and that's sort of well. This whole big fucking organisation that's sitting at you, that's everywhere. You don't know that they exist, but they're fucking everywhere. They're sitting at you with dinner, they're watching you whilst you're walking down the street.
And now they're all dead.
And let's kill them all off in one scene. It kind of really, so that was maybe it just wanted to just fucking wipe Spectre under the rug.
Yeah,
because
I think that's what they wanted.
But what I'd have liked more was for them to maybe rectify the problems that Spectre had and maybe build Spectre up again. Like what they would, they could have taken the whole eye thing a little bit further. You know how Blofeld was controlling and still controlling and managing Spectre from jail still?
Yeah.
They could have taken that further and had him actually still be the main guy that's in control. But he's fucking, Spectre's such a fucking crazy organization as that it's untamable.
I mean, let's face it.
But instead they decided to just kill everyone off.
They're no Hydra, are they? Hail Hydra.
Hey, Hydra! No, but that's one of the big things that I was kind of disappointed
You didn't
with.
like. Well, I think the biggest talking point, and I actually put a tweet out earlier today asking anyone if anyone had any questions they wanted us or theories they wanted us to address on the pod, and our friends over at Scaring Sam, a horror podcast, asked us, sent this question into us on a DM: with James Bond dying.
Dun,
Yes,
dun, dun.
he died.
Yeah.
Is this, with James Bond dying, is this the most woke Bond movie ever? And is this suggesting that such a character no longer has a place in today's society? David.
Oh, that's
a big question.
You know what? That's more of something that you've got to take seriously. That's not a fun thing to, that's something that you got to be like, oh, I've got to critically analyze this and actually come up with a decent answer.
All right. Well, I've got a few notes, so you can just say yes or no.
I think it was certainly
Maybe.
Well, yeah, I'm on the fence with it because I think it was certainly like they mentioned, it was probably one of the more woke Bond. Well, it is one of the more woke Bonds films. I feel like I'm bitching on Spectre a lot, but like in Spectre, he doesn't go ahead and shag a woman at her funeral or shag a woman at her husband's funeral, which was Spectre was very rapey. It did get a bit like, oh, okay, like and this one they did reel that back a bit, and rightly so. So maybe maybe someone that's that womanizer, kind of character needs to be written better, needs to be put in situations where it's not.
Don't be rapey.
Yeah, because how it was presented in a lot of the films. Like quite fresh in my memory because I've just watched them. Is he's sort of just there. He's just James Bond. He sort of goes up to them and almost intimidatingly, he just sort of stands there, really, really butch and manly, like, "Oh, I'm James Bond. You want to shag me," and that's kind of how he's shown in all of it. Is that something I want to see going forward? Probably not. Definitely not. But as opposed to, but. Does that say that you can't have somebody that is sexy and appealing and people want to shag? No, but maybe just go about it. Just go about it a better way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely hinted it, right? That he hasn't got a place in society because, like you say, the old ways of womanizing are gone. When he bumps into Ana de Armas' character, doesn't try and shag her. Just fights, and he's in a relationship in this film. It's basically, it feels more like a James Bond drama for a long part than it does a typical Bond film. I mean, the jokes are few and far between. You don't get all the cheesy one-liners. You get a couple, but nowhere near the extent you used to get. So, do you know what? I don't think the traditional character of Bond that the books from based on and all the classic Bonds like Connery, Moore and Bronson, that doesn't work in a modern day. And I think whoever they go with and whatever they decide to do next, the biggest dichotomy of the character and the issue is, if you modernise Bond, that doesn't make him Bond anymore. How do you change him enough for the fans to still go, that's not Bond, that's bollocks? Or, no, you can't have him going around essentially being a rapist and a murderer all the time.
I think that's it.
And be the good guy. So, whoever writes it, good luck.
You can still have a sexy man that, everyone's going to look at and be like, oh, fucking hell, I wish I was James Bond, just for a day. Kissing all the girls and blowing the bad guy away. But, did you get the reference there, Neil? Did you get what I was doing?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
just wanted to check. Okay. But yeah, do it in a way where he's not aggressively coming on to somebody at the funeral, at the husband's funeral. That's what I'd like to see. Anyway.
Yeah, that's all I want.
We get
from
any
Bond.
more questions?
Don't hit on someone at the husband's funeral.
Yeah.
So
that's not the best idea.
I mean, and it's just an improvement from the earlier films, mate, in terms of his behaviour, let's be honest. So, moving on, as I just briefly mentioned a little second ago, how absolutely great was Ana de Armas in her one scene. Now, despite being heavily featured in the trailer, her character of Paloma immediately seems to be a fan favourite from very, very little screen time. Now, why was this, do we reckon? I mean, it's her obvious hotness, but she was funny. You have this stunning woman who's apparently a new recruit agent and only in her first few weeks of the job, and then she kicks all kinds of ass, and then you have to wonder, wait a minute, was she just playing Bond all along there? Is she actually really, really good at her job? And isn't it? And she just, and that was, I thought, that's quite a nice little inversion of the typical thing, he goes up and the girl's like, save me, Bond. And then they argue and then they fight and then he saves her. Whereas this one, I think she was almost, it could have been, I mean, I might be wading way too much into it, and she was just like new at the job and a bit silly. But I thought she really underplayed it brilliantly. And she actually was massively more capable than we thought she was going to be. And then she's like, right, I've kicked ass, I shot a bunch of people, see you later. I mean, and what's annoying is, because this is the last one in Craig's series, I don't think we'll see her again. I literally thought she probably came in the film as a favour to Craig or their mates from working on Knives Out. And he's like, you can be a Bond girl. We're going to write a scene. We'll set it in somewhere, South America, and you can shoot and kick a load of people while wearing a dress. Yeah, okay, I'll do that for a couple of days. And that's what we got. And it was brilliant.
Yeah. Where were they? Cuba, was it? I can't remember. But no, no, she was. I'm one of those people that was just like, she's a fan favorite of the film. She was fucking amazing. In fact, you wanted more from her. The fact that she kind of did just disappear, you did feel like she was going to come back at some point later on. There was going to be some sort of twist with her, or she was this person all along, or she was this fucking high agent in the CIA and not just a new recruit, or just something. But no, she was just, that was it. That's kind of what we got with her, and it is a disappointment that we're probably not going to see her again unless they don't, reboot James Bond as like totally, and they sort of continue it as they did before.
Well, I think we'll get into that a little bit down the line, but now controversy, David.
Oh, okay.
What did you think of Lashana Lynch's character as the new 007?
Yeah, I enjoyed her. I thought that was actually done brilliantly. Sort of testing the water a little bit with it. I think I feel like that right was a I disagree, but go on. Go on. What were you? I want to know now. I want to know.
Yeah, I thought she was terrible. I absolutely.
You didn't
thought she
like
was
her?
No, I thought she was the worst female character in the whole film. Right, and I thought she had one character trait throughout the whole film, David, and it was, I'm the new 007. You're old. And then I was like, okay, well, if you're going with that, like, at least have the balls to go with it, right? Have her be awesome and, lead the way and everything. And then she literally, almost every scene she has with Bond, until about like halfway through, when they start working together, she's just arguing with him. And it's the same argument. Oh, you old man. Oh, old man. And I was like, this is terrible. This is like, they're making such a big deal about having a female 007 and testing the waters to see if it had been done well, that, right, we're going to have the balls to go and do a James Bond film without James Bond and call it, 007 or whatever, or come up with a better name for it, and actually have a Bond. I mean, if they'd done it right, they could have got away with and tried that. But her whole character is based around being 007. There's literally no other character traits to her. And then Bond completely undercuts it. He has that line saying, I'm not fussed, it's just a number. So it completely undercuts the sort of pressure, not pressure. It completely undercuts the importance she's put on being the new 007.
Yeah, but that line was clearly just it doesn't matter. But it clearly did matter to him. Just getting under his skin.
Right. But then later on, she says, she does one mission with him when they don't argue. He's like, oh yeah, I think he should be reinstated as 007. And he's like, whatever, not bothered, it's just a number. I was like, no, that's terrible. That, both of them absolutely undermine the power of the number 007 and the iconic references
I don't
to
think, he doesn't say it's just a number after saying, oh, you've been reinstated as I want you to be 007.
Was that earlier on? He doesn't say
Yeah. That doesn't happen. It's more of a moment. It's more of a silent moment.
I just hated it. And I don't think the performance was good, mate. I just don't. I mean, and I think she was really poorly written. She didn't have any character depth.
I disagree. I don't think she was. Well, I understand. I understand your point about her character and maybe perhaps not being developed enough. Like you wanted to know.
Yeah, definitely.
And
it's
you
a
don't
shame.
really
It's a
know
real
anything
shame.
about her or her backstory, her training, why she's, why she became a 00, any of that jazz.
Yeah.
But I disagree that you said that you didn't think she was awesome. She was fucking awesome.
No, it wasn't a fan. No.
Her introduction was awesome, like where she's got her whole like Jamaican accent going on or whatever accent it is, and she's very almost like an actual fucking spy, not just being 007 who sort of just stands there and he's the same character the entire time. James Bond 007 this time.
I thought Paloma in one scene was more charismatic than she was in the whole film, and it's not a knock on Lashana Lynch because she's brilliant in the Marvel stuff, but she's just really badly written in there, and the character's poor. She's just like given nothing to work with. She's such a surface level character, and I just hated the undermining. I was like, great, okay, she is 007. Now have the balls, like to the filmmakers, have the balls to push her out there and make her almost a key character. But because this was the film that was wrapping up Craig's run as 007 for 5 films, perhaps they shouldn't have just bothered with it. I don't think they needed to bother with it. I think you could have had a new 007 female character in a different film and then start her journey as a new 007. Would have worked perhaps a bit better. I think it almost felt like they said, like, everyone's asking for it, we're going to do it. But then, just why did she have to give it back to him? It didn't make any sense. He should have been like, do you know what? He could have literally been like, do you know what? Yeah, you've earned that. You're really good.
What, is it like a pass the torch bit from him? Like an acceptance.
It didn't even have to be
moment.
the line. It didn't even have to be like the line. You go, I think that number suits you better, or something. Not just something along those lines. It didn't have to be like as cheesy and what we just fall off on the spot. But that moment could have been handled better. And then, I mean, she pretty much just disappears out of the film towards the end, doesn't she? She's not involved in anything.
No, she's an integral part of the film towards the end.
All I can remember from near the end is just it's all James, his missus, and the kid, and Rami Malek wandering around talking about.
Yeah,
chemicals.
she's there in the background though because she's like during
exactly.
his death scene because she's the one who hands him she's the one that takes the call and then is like hands it over.
Exactly. She sat back at the office. So yeah, I think
she's
look,
awesome
okay.
when she's killing everything at the bad guy's base.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a fan.
Well, okay,
mate.
well, I don't know. I guess you've scratched more of the surface of the character than I thought of it throughout. I guess so. That's more than I think it's because put any thought into her character aside from enjoyability. If I'm completely honest.
Fair enough. But see, I wanted them to have the balls to put in a new 007, and it doesn't matter, man, woman, ethnicity, it doesn't matter. Just have the balls to have a new 007 that's different from the traditional role, and then have the guts to go with it. Make them a bigger part of the film so that people will go, yeah, I want to see, okay, so although Bond's dead, I want to see what that character does in 007 in the next film. And I'm not even fussed that it is James Bond, and I just don't think they had the balls to do it.
I don't know if it's a part. I don't know if having balls, being gutsy. I can understand that you want more from the character than just what we got.
Yeah,
but I don't think I'm battering on her performance as well. I think that's bad because I thought she was good.
I just thought she was one note and didn't have any character depth. But what they could have done, actually, instead of having her be a new 007, just have her be a new 00 agent, and she could still say all the same stuff, so it's not about her being the new Bond and replacing Bond. And then at the end of the film, he could have their last scene before he goes off to, missile land, then he could have passed the torch in a way. Or, at the end, finds just like, 007, can you come in? And it's her. That would have been better, it just, there's so many ways they could have done it better for me. But, from talking about the worst female character, in my opinion, in the film, to the best, which really surprised me, which was Léa Seydoux as Madeleine. She was awesome, man. I mean, Bond having a kid was very easily signposted, You see it the first time you see the kid and the kid's eyes, his eyes were so blue you'd think he was from Arrakis, man. But I watched. They had her and a couple of the other actors on Graham Norton, which is a UK talk show promoting the film a few weeks ago. And she seemed the least interested person there. Like, she did not seem like she wanted to be there at all. And I was thinking, oh God! And that was before I saw the film. And then when I saw the film, I was like, well, she's probably the best performed and written female character I've seen in the Bond films in a long, long time. You know, she was really, really good.
Yeah,
and interestingly, and what they did that broke with tradition that I really liked was the prologue to the film. It wasn't based around Bond. It was based around Madeline and Safin's backstories, and explored them rather than something to do with Bond. So I really did like that. Of course, then we get the big action scene in Italy as James visits Vesper's tomb. And then after a really nice action sequence, we split Blonde and Madeline up. And then we get the title sequence. And I don't know if you was keeping check, but how far into the film were we at this point?
It was,
at least 20
it was
minutes.
quite far into the film, the title sequence.
I felt like I was watching the OA when they put the titles in an hour and 5 minutes into the show once. I was like, what? What's going on?
Her character, you felt like her and Bond actually had a relationship. You know, it was because in a lot of the Bonds, they sort of meet each other for like a day and 2 days, and then
it's
all
like,
of a sudden,
James, I love you.
they're in, exactly. And that was sort of the case with Casino Royale. In fact, it's one of the negatives from Casino Royale is Vesper and that whole scene where they're in Venice, and it's kind of like. It's so unbelievable that James Bond just quits being a 007 to go live with Vesper because he's in love with her all of a sudden after they've met for week.
It's Eva Green, and if you met Eva Green in Italy, mate, I'm just saying, you know.
Of course, but that's what happened, and it was just wholly unbelievable. Whereas the relationship between them. In this film, maybe because it's set over that 5 years, you know, they have that moment where they have to say, you know, where he doesn't trust her because of all the shit that he's dealt with Vesper, and he's just get the fuck. He's like, get the fuck on that train and get out of here. And you know, it's really heartfelt moment, really difficult. You can feel Bond's pain throughout the entire thing, and when they see each other again, you genuinely feel like there's a relationship between these characters, and you can't say that about a lot of Bond and any of his women. No. In any film, really. And
perhaps that's where I was off the mark, and perhaps that's where Phoebe Waller-Bridge actually did the additional writing, was writing Madeline's character really well. Because their relationship, like you just said, felt like a proper relationship in a Bond film. And as much as it is, you know, standard superhero, well, not super, as much as it's the standard, you know, spy action film that we come to expect, it let Craig and Sadu really act in it. You know, the others proper. You don't essentially look at Bond films for like great, really sort of dramatic performances. But they were both really good in it, you know. And it felt like a family drama in places, more than a Bond film, but in a good way. Like, I wasn't annoyed by that. I was like, okay, this is...
No, I'm not disagreeing with you, I
really
totally
enjoyed
agree.
it. The heart of the film was Craig getting over Vesper, getting on with Madeline, and then finding out about his daughter.
Well, he kind of gets over Vesper in the first, 10, 20 minutes of the film.
Well, there's a montage. Got to have a montage. But, yeah, I mean, I honestly think that's probably the best Craig has been as Bond because of... I'm sure it was in his contract. He's like, look, if he's coming back, I want to do something different. I want him to have this. I want him to have that. I'm sure he, had a bit of a say on what he wanted the character to go. And, you know, those elements of the film were really well done. And, like I said, it was actually nice to see actors allowed to actually act in this type of film.
During the end of the you're talking about his performance, which is 100%. Yeah. Probably is one of the best performances from Daniel Craig as Bond. I think. I'm trying to think how he was in the others right now. I mean, Skyfall, he was good. Obviously,
Skyfall was very good, but I think because this film adds the element of the family, and
I love that moment where he's. Is he introducing him to Naomi? When they're walking past, these are my, and then he sort of stops at the word family, but you know what they're gonna say. You know he's gonna say family, and it's Bond's got a family. It's just as fucked up as family as you think it would be. It's kind of a situation that he's got going on. But...
Well, and speaking of families, that brings us on to from a great again. It's definitely a film in the middle on pros and cons, isn't it? So and now we go to another con, which is Lucifer Satan. Sorry, Safin. He was crap. I mean, what even was his backstory?
Malik.
Yeah. what did he want? I mean, it's such a shame because, again, Malik is a great actor who is, once again, massively underused. I honestly can't even remember what he wanted to achieve. It's something to do with poison.
So...
And then they even tried... Wait. And then
Okay,
they even
go on.
tried to still humanise him by giving him a backstory. And at the start, it's like, oh, well, he only become a villain because his face got messed up because his old man was a nut job who killed people, and then those more nut jobs tried to kill him, and then he escaped. Can't a villain just be a villain? You know, I was like, why do you need to try and humanise him a little bit more? And he was just crap, man. Like, I honestly didn't care what he was doing. I was like, every time it cut to him doing his, like, monologues in his island fortress, if you're a Bond villain, got to have an island fortress.
Okay. So, I don't wholly disagree with you.
Cool.
I think he did have a plot and an idea and a reason up until the death of all of Spectre and then the death of Blofeld. And then after that, I was very confused as to what his motive is. Because I mean, maybe I completely missed something, but after, because he wanted to kill Spectre because Mr. White killed... Was it Mr. White that killed his family? I think it was Mr. White that killed his entire family. Or it was people on behalf... Like, Mr. White got people to kill his entire family on the behalf of Spectre. So, Spectre killed his entire family. So that's the story there. That's a revenge mission against Spectre, which he completes. He completes it, he wipes them all out in one big party. And then Blofeld he kills as well, inadvertently, but still... he does do it, but not how we wanted to do it. But yeah, anyway. But then after that, I was I was very confused as to what his motive was.
Yeah, he should have just packed
Why
up
was
and
he
gone home.
releasing this virus thing? Like, what was it? It was a virus that...
Do you
It was a
know what?
virus that
It
attacked
makes-
your DNA. That's it. It was a virus that was programmed to attack certain people's DNA. So it was like having a bullet, like the perfect bullet. That's why devised it, right? So you could just get someone's DNA, put them in a
we'll
room
get
of
to M in a
people,
minute.
and
What a
then kill
dick.
them, couldn't you? But that was it. But I didn't understand what he was trying to achieve. As a character, as a villain, he's not going to go down as the most memorable, remarkable Bond villains. I think he did have a presence behind him, and he did have that sort of
'cause he's a
creepy
good actor.
quality. Yeah. He exactly. But he's not going to be the most. The film's not going to be remembered for Rami Malek
for the
as the
villain.
villain. Yeah.
No. I mean, a slight tangent, or I always remember being really, really angry, and I forget what the film was, but it was one of the... I can't even remember which one it was. It was the one that had Robert Carlyle in it as the henchman to the French woman who was the main villain. And
Was that GoldenEye? No, or was Golden...
I can't remember.
No. Oh.
It was one of the
It was a
later
Pierce Brosnan
Bronson
one,
ones.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And he has such a good setup, right? He has a bullet that it's slowly worming its way through his brain, and it's going to kill him. And because of that, he cannot feel pain. I was like, that's awesome. And then his character was rubbish. I was like, why? You wasted him so... And then Bond shoots the unarmed French woman in it at the end. I was like, you just killed... I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I haven't watched it again since, and I could be wrong. But I just remember watching it at the time going, it must have been right, or maybe it wasn't. But I always remember that, thinking, he just shot an unarmed French woman who was a villain because she, faked to go for a gun or something. I was like, come on, James, you just shot a woman, and they might have even been in the back. I'm not even remember. I think she was, turning. He's like, turn around, show me your hands. And she turns and, pretends she's going for a gun, and then he shoots her. Could be wrong, but I remember it, or I might have seen it in someone
It's The
else.
World Is Not Enough. It's The World Is Not Enough, yeah. GoldenEye
yeah.
was the one with Sean Bean.
But as we they had the balls to do it, and it was the first time that Bond has been killed in his 25 film history. David, where do they go next?
Yeah, he dead. They either continue, they either reboot it again, I suppose, or they continue the legacy and story of Bond through either the number 007 as Bond,
which they could have done with Lynch if they'd done a better job with her character,
or they have James Bond become the code name, which was sort of the theory, that people thought James Bond was the code name like 007, which is why there were so many people that could play James Bond.
Gotcha.
And they continue that story, or they just reboot it entirely.
Yeah. So I mean,
But
yeah, I
they
was
can
thinking,
reboot it like they did with the previous films, and still have characters and elements from the previous stuff, like M, for instance.
No, see, I don't think that would work in a modern day now. I think in the old days, with us being used to like cinematic universes a lot more now than in the old days, I think that would like just people. If they're going to do a clean reboot,
In the old
have
days,
it be a clean reboot.
In the old days, back in
In the old days-
2005, that was
Back before I don't even know what it was back before. So yeah, the big question is, will they recast for the next Bond film, then hit a reset button on the current universe and characters? I think they should. Or do they troll us by having Lynch return as 007, and then we introduce the new James Bond midway through that film? Or, back to the question we were asked by Scaring Sam, with Bond's character not really, written character not really being acceptable in a modern day and age, do they do a period piece Bond? A young Bond? Because an issue we always have with Bond is an actor knows it's going to be a decade of his career probably playing Bond, right? And they're usually getting on before it. We've never had a really young Bond. So that could be a new way to take it. And that way they could set it as a period piece, get away with some of the more dodgier elements of the character, but written in the correct way, so kind of correct some of the mistakes.
How old was Daniel Craig when he took on Bond? I don't. He wasn't old. Was
I
he?
don't know. But talking of ages, David, I have who is going to be in the next Bond.
Oh, he was 38 apparently in 2006. Okay, fair enough. He wasn't young. He was looking good for 36. Anyway, sorry, can I answer what you said before about there being whether you think there's going to be space for the character?
Oh, right,
Because
yep.
there is going to be, because they're not going to not have James Bond films again ever. It's it's James Bond. If it makes money, they're not going to stop making money. So there will be.
I'm wondering whether the producers are thinking, look, everyone's got a cinematic universe today, and we just have Bond. Why can't we do spin-offs with other characters? I mean, there was actually talk years ago that Halle Berry's character, Jinx, was going to get her own spin-off. Right? I think it was Barbara Broccoli who actually said Bond,
that would have been
Bond terrible.
Not good. Yeah, I mean, not because of Halle Berry, just because of all the films to have a spin-off. That was
Mate, I am still waiting. I'm still waiting for the Dr. Christmas Jones spin-off.
What was that? What is this? Die Another Day?
Denise Richards as a nuclear scientist.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I don't think she could spell nuclear scientist, mate, to be fair at the time. But I think it was Barbara Broccoli who said, look, Bond will always be a man, and she's right. But she also said someone needs to write a female secret agent equivalent character, and she's also right. Expand the James Bond universe so it can compete with Mission Impossible and once again have spin-off characters. I mean, cast it well, write it well, and build a Bond cinematic universe.
Compete with Mission Impossible?
Mate, I think the last 2 Mission Impossible films have been better than the last 5 Bond films.
Well, yeah, perhaps, but what's taken more money?
I'd probably argue Mission Impossible without checking. I don't know, but I would imagine, because although Bond always does massively well over here, because reasons, obviously, I think Mission Impossible does better worldwide. I reckon it'd be close anyway. I don't think there'd be like one eternal thing on it. But we're talking casting now, David. Potential casting for the new Bond. And, well, the fan favourites, who everyone seems to want, who are also way too old. Everyone's been crying for ages about Idris Elba being Bond. Well, Idris Elba is 49.
10 years too late.
Yeah, he's 49. No chance. And the other person is Henry Cavill.
Unless you only have a one-and-done Bond film.
Which would be pointless, because everything has to have more films these days.
But...
Well, it could be like The Batman, couldn't it? But again, that's probably going to have a continuity if it goes well. But and yeah, the other one is The Witcher himself, Mr. Henry Cavill, or Superman. And he's still apparently not done with Superman. He could come back for that, and he's got another couple of seasons in The Witcher in him. So I don't see him donning the tux anytime soon.
Yeah, but he wants the role more than any other. Like more, yeah, oh yeah. He's wanted the role. He was second choice for this Bond, Daniel Craig. He was second choice to Daniel Craig. So Henry Cavill's wanted it for a long time. So if he gets the opportunity to go for it, he's fucking going for it.
I thought the role he wanted was Geralt of Rivia, The Witcher, which he's got, which he wanted more than anything. Bond's his fucking. I mean,
it's his white whale. Bond.
I'm a bit torn on Cavill, right? I've seen him be terrible and boring and stuff, and I've also seen him be brilliant. Like The Witcher, he's awesome. In the Mission Impossible films, he was brilliant. And in the stuff he did with Guy Ritchie, he was terrible. And I think Cavill's Bond depends on how good the script is, obviously, and who the director is,
Yeah,
so it's a bit more of a gamble. But also, he's 38 now. So he is on the younger side of the spectrum, but isn't he almost around the same age Craig was when Craig started?
Yeah, but according to the Google I just did, earlier, he is around the same age, yeah.
So I really think you need to be aiming around 30 at the oldest now for starting to take on Bond. Because then, it's like we reckon it's about a decade of your career. So 30 would be, I think it'd be a good age to cast Bond.
I think 35 onwards. I think 30 might be a bit too young. Unless you want to go for that younger story that you were telling. But
yeah, well, if maybe. So who are the current favourites, really, that have a realistic chance? Well, surprisingly, out ahead is, David, Tom Hopper from the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, I know the one.
Not really been sold on him yet. I've got to be honest. I've only seen him in the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah,
and he is 36.
I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest.
Having said that, though, he is quite unknown in the larger scale of things. I don't know any films he's been on. I literally just know him from the Umbrella Academy. And at 36, you could at least get a good decade out of him. But I don't know if they want to go with someone a little bit less known, maybe, which doesn't carry a baggage of other roles to the film, then he could be a choice.
How well known was Daniel Craig going into Bond? He wasn't fantastic. He wasn't a household name. He certainly wasn't a Henry Cavill. Fucking the whole world knows Henry Cavill.
True.
Whereas, and he was sort of, maybe Tom Hopper was sort of like that same level, because what had he done beforehand? He'd done,
I don't know.
What was it called?
British TV drama.
Was it? Wait, do you actually know it? Are you trying to quiz me?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But anyway, we're not here for guess what Tom Hopper did. The next person on the
Daniel
list...
Craig. What did Daniel Craig do before Casino Royale? What was he like?
I know he did a really bad film called Dreamhouse, where he met his missus, Rachel Weisz, on a film. He'd been in stuff, man. He'd been in
Leia
stuff.
Kate.
Anyway.
Leia Kate.
Well,
that's it.
And that also launched quite a few other actors, didn't it? I believe
that would have really annoyed me.
Okay, well, it really annoyed me waiting for you to Google it. But anyway, next on the list is Game of Thrones and now Marvel star Richard Madden, who's got to be in the running also because he has the bonus of being Scottish. So naturally, comparisons to Connery and the source material character are strong with this one. Also, he's a year younger than Hopper because he's 35. So he's the right age.
I can see
Scottish.
Richard Madden. I can see Richard Madden being a fit. But then again, it depends on how you want to take the character. Are we taking it straight out of the book, or how are we taking it like the new progressive, James Bond that we were speaking about that we want to see? What do we want to see?
You're going to say woke Bond?
I mean, Richard Madden's a sexy man. So,
but has he got the acting chops? Because I've not been convinced by him yet.
Yeah, have you seen The Bodyguard?
No, apparently that was the best thing he's done.
You've got to watch The Bodyguard. He was fantastic.
Okay, I'll watch. Yeah, I'm gonna catch up.
In fact, I'm pretty sure it was off The Bodyguard, where everybody was just "Holy shit, he's got to be the next Bond."
Yeah. So, I'm seeing the Eternals tomorrow night, so he's in that, and it's funny because he's in that more than I think I see Kit Harington. So clearly, we know who's got the best agent out of the two of them after that. Because bearing in mind, in Game of Thrones, Richard Madden was only around for a couple of seasons. Oh, spoilers for Game of Thrones, but everyone dies pretty much. And Kit Harington was like the star, really, wasn't he, as Jon Snow?
Became the star, yeah.
Became star. And also, Tom Hardy's always been mentioned. But again, at 44, he's
really
just way
don't
too
want
old
to see
now.
Tom Hardy as James Bond. I really don't want to see that. I'm not a fan of that idea.
Do you know, he did a film with Chris Pine and I think Charlize Theron called Let There Be War or something like that, where he played a secret agent, and I was like, no.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
But the other favourite, David, and it's been heavily mentioned, and you've mentioned him, I've not actually ever seen anything he's done, is Reggie Jean Page from Bridgerton.
Yeah. Again, I think you need to see more from him before, because I've only seen Bridgerton that he's been in, and those car adverts.
I think that's all anyone's seen him do. But he is only 31.
But I mean, if you want to go for that, woke James Bond, yeah, he's your man.
Well, no, I mean, I think you don't have to call it woke. Just call it colourblind casting. It doesn't matter.
Well, no, I called it woke because that's what the question was.
Everyone will say. Oh, back.
That was
back
yeah.
a while ago.
I've gone back, yeah.
So out of those four, yeah, I mean, I think Richard Madden's probably going to be the guy they go with. Although I wouldn't be. I think Hopper. I don't think Hardy's got a chance in hell. Hopper could be in with a shout purely because he's less known and less high profile, which means he'll probably be cheaper. Madden depends on how well the success of the Marvel stuff does, whether he's going to have the time.
He's going to get tied up potentially.
He potentially could be tied up with the MCU for quite a
while.
That
could be a big problem for him, yeah.
But I would also be quite happy to see him give Page a shot as well. So you never know, man. You never know.
Well, Cavill would be... You
want Cavill then?
No, I don't want Cavill. I'd actually prefer Richard Madden. Cavill would be more available than Richard Madden at the moment.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but then
the
again,
MCU's probably bigger than The Witcher.
Right now, whereas this Bond film's not... I think there's going to be a bit of a break before the next Bond
definitely.
film. I think it's probably going to be about a good 5-year break. So we're looking at actors right now. You've got to be thinking of the actors in 5 years' time. You've got to be looking at these people that are like...
Well, we haven't done that, so we're not going to. Do you know what, though? I would like them to see... I honestly would like them to try and troll us and start the next Bond film without Bond in it. And then introduce him halfway through, or like towards the end, or have a character who becomes Bond in the film using the codename thing you mentioned might be a good idea. So when you're watching the film, you're not actually sure which character might end up being Bond. But what I really want to see, and I think when I was mentioning earlier, Mission Impossible, I think the last couple, once they've started telling an ongoing story arc, which is when Chris McQuarrie took over the films. So was it with Mission Impossible 5 and then obviously 6, which had Cavill in it as a villain. That film for me already has the best written female British secret agent, and it's Rebecca Ferguson's Ilsa Forst. She's a disgraced MI6 agent who is easily Tom Cruise's equal in the films. She isn't written in as a love interest, although it was kind of crappily hinted at near the end of the last one. But the next two Mission Impossible films just seem to be hoovering up all the best British action talent. You've got Hayley Atwell in it. I mean, Marvel have missed a beat there. They could have easily done the Captain Carter live action thing, you bastards. And you've got Vanessa Kirby in it as well, who's, again, you've just got all the top sort of younger British action girls in it. So any of them, the Bond producers could have gone, right, you're going to be a secret agent, here you go.
Hayley Atwell's already been in Bond.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that... I thought get mixed up. Wasn't that Gemma Arterton?
Oh, you know what? Yeah. They're like the same person.
I mean, they're a little bit look-alike.
Anyway, sorry, no, yeah. You're right.
But, yeah. But do you know what? I mean, for me, the ultimate... And then we'll never see it. This would be like Marvel and DC doing a crossover film, which actually could happen, but probably won't ever. I'd love to see a Bond Mission Impossible crossover film. I mean, it would break the internet. Imagine like the end of a Mission Impossible film, and then like it's like, we got your next target. His name's Bond, James Bond. Can you imagine like the internet would break, wouldn't it? It would be like the forbidden door of action films.
Yeah, it would break. I don't think I'd want to see it, but that's not for me.
No, really.
Nah. I can see the appeal. It's not for me.
Yeah.
No. I'm perfectly happy with them being completely separate entities and there being no... Why does everything have to cross over these days? Why can't there just
Because that's what people want.
Why can't you just do good things and have them be good? Why is everything got to be connected to something else or have, I'm going to do a crossover of fucking Looney Tunes and Mickey Mouse. No one wants to see that shit.
Children do.
No one wants to see Peppa Pig and fucking Dora the Explorer going out together.
I mean, I do now. Right, well, do you know what? I think that about rounds up this pod. David, I am going to do like Bond does. I'm going to go get a drink and then I'm going to sleep because like Bond, I'm old.
You are pretty old.
Shut your face. And that's all for now, folks. See you next time.
David Rhodes.